In Unit 7, we're going to look at transformations of quadratic functions. So what is a transformation? A transformation is something that will change the graph, so change the function in some way. It might be its size, it might make it bigger or smaller, it might be its position, it might move it up and down, left and right, or it might be its orientation in that it might flip it over. Okay, so we have several types of transformations, translations, dilatations, and reflections. So a translation is the first one. And a translation means that you're going to shift the graph in some way. So we can shift it left, right, up, or down. So we can either shift it vertically, up and down, or horizontally, left and right. A dilatation means that we're going to make it bigger or smaller. So think about your eye. If your pupil dilates, it gets bigger or it can get smaller. So we say that dilatations involve either stretching or compression. And I'm just going to put this in general, so let's leave this to the end here. So a dilatation means you're making it bigger or smaller, so you're either stretching it or compressing it. And a reflection means that you're going to take the mirror image. So you're going to flip it over. And we can do all three, both vertically or horizontally. So that means we can shift it vertically, we can shift it horizontally, we can stretch or compress it vertically and horizontally, and then we can flip it over vertically or horizontally. The original picture is called the object, and then the new or transformed picture is called the image. So if we refer to the image, we're talking about the new picture. So we're going to look at a few transformations and see what they do to the graph. So here we are going to look in general. If we have a quadratic x squared and we add k, what happens to the graph? So you can use Desmos for this. You can type these equations into Desmos and see what the picture looks like. So y equals x squared is my original picture. So I know what that looks like. Just going to do a couple of points here. So here is y equals x squared. So I'm just taking a couple of values of x and I'm squaring them and I get my parabola. If I typed in or graphed x squared plus 1, I want to know what happens to the graph. So if you do it on Desmos or whether you do a table of values, if I do x squared plus 1, my graph's going to look like this. So it's going to look like this. So it's going to have the same shape. The shape's not going to change. It's going to look the same, but it's just going to shift up 1. So in this table here, my new vertex, the original one was at 0, 0. Now the new vertex is at 0, 1. Then I'm going to do x squared plus 2. So again, I can use Desmos or I can make a table of values and my graph is going to look like this. So it's going to have some sort of shape like this. So again, the shape stays the same, so it looks exactly the same, except it's going to shift up 2. So my vertex is now going to be at 0, 2, and it's going to shift up 2 units. And then finally, I'll do x squared plus 3, so that's going to shift it up 3 units. So that will look like this. Same shape, except every point in that graph is going to be shifted up 3. So my vertex is now at 0, 3, and it's going to shift up 3 units. So what can we conclude? Well, we conclude that if you have y equals x squared and you add a number to it, it's going to shift the parabola up by whatever k is. So whatever that number k is, it's going to shift up. So if it's a plus k, So k is positive. It's going to shift the whole graph up k units, whatever k is as a number. Vertically, we can go up. We can shift it. Okay, now we're going to see what happens when we do y equals x squared minus k. So again, I'm going to draw x squared. Here's x squared as my original function. There's x squared. Then I'm going to do x squared minus 1. So I can do it on Desmos. I can make a table of values, but it's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to look something like this. So this is going to be x squared minus 1. So now the vertex is at 0, negative 1, and it's shifted down 1 unit. Need some room here. Okay, then I'm going to do x squared minus 2. So again, I'm going to type it into either Desmos, or I'm going to make a table of values. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to look something like this. So the whole graph is going to shift down 2 units. The vertex is now at 0, negative 2, and it's going to shift it down 2 units. And then finally we'll do x squared minus 3. That's going to shift it down 3 units. It's going to look something like this. So the shape stays the same. It doesn't turn or anything. It doesn't get bigger or smaller. All that happens is that every point is going to shift down 3 units. So we can conclude that if we have x squared and we subtract k, it's going to shift the parabola down this time, because it's negative, by k units, whatever that value of k is. So whatever that number is, that's how many units it's going to shift down. And every single point is going to shift down. Vertically down, we can shift. Okay, what if we add or subtract a number inside the brackets? So we're going to add or subtract a value before we square it. Okay, so this is before we square. So x squared is our original graph. So there's x squared. And again, you're going to do this on Desmos, or you can make a table of values if you want. I'm going to do x minus 1. And what's going to happen is this point is going to shift right 1. So nothing else is going to change. But every point on that graph is going to go right 1. So this one had a vertex of 0, 0. This one now has a vertex of 1, 0, and it's going to shift right 1 unit. Then I'm going to do x minus 2, and you'll find that now it shifts right 2 units. So the graph's going to look like this. So now the vertex is at 2, 0, and it's going to shift right 2 units. So you'll notice that it's doing the opposite of what you think. It's x minus h, but it's going right. Sometimes we think, oh, it's x minus, it's going to go left. It actually goes the opposite direction. It's going to go right. And then x minus 3 is going to shift it right 3 units. So now the vertex is at 3, 0, and that's going to shift right 3 units. So when we have a number added or subtracted from x and then square it, so we're going to subtract the number first, square it after, it's going to shift the parabola right by h units, whatever value h is. That's how many units it's going to shift to the right. Shift it horizontally right. Okay, and then we're going to do x plus h. So we'll start with x squared. And if you type in x plus 1 and then square it, so now we're adding a number to x and then we're squaring it, you'll find that it's going to go left 1. So x plus 1 and then squared is going to go left 1. So the vertex is now at negative 1, 0. Let's put shift. So it's going to, it's going to shift, because it's moving, left 1 unit. Okay, if we do x plus 2, you'll find it goes left 2 units. So the vertex is now at negative 2, 0, and it's going to shift left 2 units. And then finally, x plus 3 is going to go 3 units to the left. And the vertex is now at negative 3, 0, and that's going to shift left 3 units. So if we add a number to x and then square it, it actually shifts it left. So it's going to shift left by h units, whatever the value of h is. So these are all translations. A translation is a shift. So we can shift it horizontally left. So those are all translations. So just to summarize, if we want the graph to go up, we're going to add a number. So let's say, so this will be a vertical shift by k. We can shift it down by subtracting k after we square it. So that is a vertical shift down. I forgot to put up on the first one. So vertical shift up by k. We can shift it right. So if we want to shift it right, we're going to subtract a number. That will be a horizontal shift. And that one's going to go right by h units. Or we can shift it left. So that's going to be add a number to x, then square it. And that will shift the graph left. So we probably remember this from grade 10. When you did quadratics in grade 10, we did all this, but this is a good review. And then the next lesson is going to look at our stretches and our compressions or our dilatations.